Today's conversation is going to be fun. I'm meeting with an older couple that found me. Their son's a big fan on YouTube, so they decided to come check me out. And bottom line is they're kind of in a situation where they want to know financially what they should do. They're requesting a game plan. So I said, you know what? Come in the office. If you don't mind like getting financially naked, which I think they probably do, we're just going to have a conversation. And just wanted to grab this real quick. But coming up next, what does it look like for me to step into their shoes, maybe your shoes, and create a financial game plan? How would I make $1 million if I was you? Let's find out.
'Cause we're gonna be legends. What we're doing here ain't just scary. It's about to be legendary.
What would you guess that your home is worth?
Almost 400.
And roughly what do you maybe owe?
We owe currently 245. 145.
Yes.
145.
Awesome. And do you like your home?
Yes.
That's been
There's a purpose for asking this question, do you like your home? I'm just curious.
We do, but we're empty nesters now. So an option that I was thinking of is downsizing because we don't need 7 bedrooms.
Downsize, question mark. It's a 7-bedroom.
Is that what it is? 1, 2,
5
bedroom, 5 bedroom, a den, 6 bedroom, 5 bedrooms. I'm a little bit.
Good enough. Okay, cool. Any other assets that you, by the way, this is great. You guys have done a great job in your working life. You've been hardworking, you've been responsible, you've been putting money away. You know, my guess is for your age, you're ahead of the curve from where most people are at. So by the way, that's awesome. I mean, I've done this with thousands of people. You guys are doing great. Any other assets I should be aware of before we start playing?
Oh, he has a 7702 plan, which is he puts in for his retirement, and it's
Okay.
and so that's the one that's non-taxable. It grows tax-free, and when that matures, I know there's going to be quite a bit of money in that
Is that
when
money
he
that you are
retires.
able to access, or is that more like a pension that you're not allowed to
I can
access?
access.
And do you know roughly how much that is?
No, roughly.
Is
Because it's fairly new.
He did it like the last 8 years, I think.
So 200 a month, 8 years,
Yeah.
24, 16,000 maybe?
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
16,000, and I'm going to call it.
It's a 7702 plan is what they entitle it.
I've never heard of one of those before, but listen, it's on the
Hey,
books. That's good.
Tony Robbins talks about that.
All right, there you go. Awesome. Yikes, thank you. It's always a little bit uncomfortable to get financially undressed. But you know what, I just want to tell you, that with this, I now know how to play and how to create. And so these are perfect building blocks. What I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to start throwing up a number of options. And it's going to feel like throw up. And most people have a natural gut impulse of, I love that, I hate that, why would I do that? Just because you've spent your entire life building a filter for which you make financial decisions. I have built my entire life building a filter that usually is so different than other people that the options are just not on anyone's radar. A lot of these things they don't even know that they can do. So I'm going to play with it, and I'm going to give you all the options that I see. Now, first of all, you've got great income and you've got great credit. So the question is, what can we do? What are some of our options? If we were to kind of add all of this up, you probably have somewhere around probably a $500,000 net worth. So when I say good job, for your relative age, what I mean is a lot of people at your age have not set $500,000 of net worth aside. So you've been responsible, you've done a good job. Now we have to say, all right, first of all, if we don't figure out how to accelerate things, what does happen in retirement? Right now, the $120,000 a year that you make, how much would you guess that you live off of versus saving? Just guess. Are you check to check, like there's only ever barely enough? Or actually, we only spend $60,000 of that? What would you say?
So I'm thinking, since last year I worked part-time teaching, and this year I'm full-time, so I have twice the salary.
Okay.
So last year it was pretty much paycheck to pay. It was like we didn't have a whole lot of extra. I mean, what we're putting in.
So you've got some extra income now that you've
So
gone from
now
part-time
we
to
have,
full-time.
yeah, so now maybe $2,000 a month extra.
Okay, so do you
Like
think
that.
it would be fair to say that you were probably living off of maybe $80,000 or $90,000 a year.
Yeah.
Does that sound about
Yeah,
fair-ish?
yeah, uh-huh.
Okay, cool. So the first thing I do before I create some options, I always like to ask, do we even need to see options? And I just always like to have that reality check moment. I had this when I was in my early 20s. And I had been on the phone at this call center interviewing people all day long who were in their 40s and 50s. Most of them actually went to college, had good jobs, had good credit, and had been good savers. But when I would talk to them in their 40s, they didn't have too many worries. When they were in their 50s, a lot of panic started setting in. When they were in their 60s, they felt trapped, late, and too late to the game. By the time they were in their 70s, they were quite crotchety individuals. Mm-hmm. The reason why they were crotchety is because if they had saved up $500,000 and were accustomed to a $90,000 a year situation, then at retirement, if you were to retire in this moment, you'd have maybe 5 or 6 years worth of money.
Right.
After paying taxes and everything, you might have more like 4 years of money. And so when you look at it, you're like, wait a second, do we really want to work forever? Right now, there's a good saving mode, but I want to ask you, when would you like to retire? If I were to create a game plan for you, like you might love your job, some people hate their jobs, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, have you guys talked about when you would ultimately like to be able to retire?
Well, I always had a plan. I wanted to go on a mission with Brent
So
when
do
we
some
before
service
before we were
for your
too
church,
old. So I was hoping, like before we were 60, that we would be done.
All right.
And so we had I was personally hoping.
I was like, I'd be done
I was
today.
personally, yeah, I was, but so, you know, no more than 10 years from now.
Okay, so 10 years from now.
Yeah.
With that, if you retire 10 years from now, would you be upset, Brian?
No, I wouldn't be upset.
All right.
Is it
If
too
you had to
long?
work longer, would you enjoy working longer?
There's a pros and cons to that. I don't have a lot of extracurricular activities in my life.
Okay.
So it does give me purpose, it gives me,
No, that's good.
it really does. I'd have to, in a period of time, develop other pastime.
Yeah. All right.
We're
Well,
working on that.
Nature bores a vacuum.
Yeah.
Something would
So,
fill
and I don't
that,
mind
but-
work, and I don't mind work.
So you're lucky right now.
I don't mind work.
87, according to what it says, 87% of people that do work do not like what they do.
Okay.
You get purpose and passion from yours, so like that's
Yeah.
a big thumbs up. That's a positive
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Let me pretend and just play as if we had a shorter fuse and you wanted to have a certain level of financial ability in retirement, and really that goal for you guys is you really got to find a way to get to $7,000 a month of residual income to really have the ability that, hey, if we wanted to walk from our job, at least all of our bills would be covered.
Right.
Does that math make sense?
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So here's some of the first things that I see, and this is the game now. This is so fun for me because you guys have wonderful lives, but I'm not you. So I'm like, if I woke up as you, like, what would I do? So first of all, let's just evaluate the assets, and then I'm going to play with them. First of all, the 401k from your current employer. This money is largely untouchable. And you can always ask to see if you can do an in-service distribution. If any of this was rollover from previous employment, you could use it. You'd have to pay tax and penalty, but that money, until you leave your current employment, it's really not available.
Right.
You can't ask for an in-service distribution, and sometimes there's reasons why they'll let you take it out. And some people have actually been able to find some loopholes. So this money, even though it's real, it's dead. The next one here is IRA. Well, meaning it'll someday be available, but
Yeah.
I don't care about someday.
Yeah.
I care about how can I build today.
Right.
You see, a 401k, most 401ks are averaging about 5% a year of return. 5% with the rule of 72 means that it's going to double roughly every 18, 20 years.
Yeah.
So if you look at wanting to retire in 10, it's like, in 20 years, 100k will become 200k. That's too slow.
Yeah.
Most people don't know. IRA is less than 5%. It's in the exact same boat. Your home, you've got most of your equity, half of your net worth is actually stored in your home, but it is actually losing value at the rate of inflation. So inflation's at 3%, the market average is 3%, is kind of a wash, but more importantly, this is actually a liability because it doesn't make you money. You have to pay to actually have this asset. People say your own home is your best investment for a store of value, yes, but for producing income, none. And then of course there's the 7702, and this is, I'm going to throw this in the IRA because this is actually real usable money. So when I'm looking at this, I'm saying, all right, what do we have to work with? Can't touch the 401k unless you leave your job, but you like your job. You could switch, stay in the industry, switch jobs and access that money, but You know, if you like your people and what you do, not worth it. IRA, 120 plus 16, we're looking at roughly $135,000. And if you were to touch this money, you're gonna have to pay taxes and penalties on it. So I'm just gonna guess, but penalties are 10%. I call that a cost of business. That's the price you pay for using a vehicle that can't get you where you wanna go.
Right.
Sounds a little bit crude, but like I said, I don't care about stepping on toes, I'm just honoring my truth. So I'm looking at that 135 and I'm saying, well, if I pulled it out, let's just say $85,000 was available. That's paying way too much money in taxes. It's probably a lot more than that. But I'm just being hypercritical to say, what do I have to play with? Primary residence, you could downsize. I'm going to play with one of those options. You could go to a bank and ask for a home equity line up to generally 80 or 90% of the value. If they allowed you to go up to $350,000, there's probably in here somewhere around $120,000 to $150,000 of usable money. However, if you use that, you're going to have an added payment on your house. So whatever you put it in has to be able to cover that plus more to actually say, hey, this is smart and worthwhile. That makes sense so far?
Right, yep.
All right, cool. So I'm just tearing this whole thing down and saying, all right, I got something to play with here, I've got something to play with here, and I have something to play with here. What would I do?
And so can I interject one thing?
Yeah, totally.
The other option that we were looking at is refinancing the home, because I can pull out about that. I can pull out about $80,000, keeping my payment the same, lowering the interest rate.
Yes, I'm aware,
Okay,
but
so just double checking that in.
yeah, but let me comment on that real quick. Here's what most people are thinking. By the way, before I show you whatever goes on this magic part of the whiteboard, this is what everyone's thinking. Don't do that. You're freaking flushing $40,000 down the drain. Are you a moron? Because all of your coworkers say that. All of your colleagues, we're all trained to think this particular way, which is, this is working. But I submit that if it's only 4 years of retirement, it's not working.
It's not working.
So even though everyone's like, don't be stupid, don't be dumb, don't pay taxes, I'm like, we're in the greatest country in the world. You pay the goose that lays the golden egg for us. We have huge opportunity ahead of us. You pay your taxes and penalties. Same thing on the house. You're like, well, Kris, I can take out less money and not increase my payment. That's the kind of conservative thinking that creates a situation where you say, never going to be enough when I need it to be enough.
Okay.
So what I'm about to do is going to look incredibly risky because it's different. Things look risky either because it's different or things look risky because they have a higher ROI. I'm telling you right now, 5% will never be enough to get you retirement. People don't know this, no one gets told that, but for me, in this document, I have a copy of this I'm going to give you. I've documented my last 4,000 transactions, and they're all documented in here as well as the addresses that you can look up, the philosophy, the strategy. We're averaging 25% annual ROI on the last 4,000 homes. Now, 25%, we've been trained to think that 25% ROI compared to 5% must be what?
Way better.
On the one hand, way better, but on the other hand, we're actually trained what?
Is there 5% on $100, but is there 25% on $10 is different?
Yeah, and we're also trained that the bigger the number,
Correct.
the higher the risk.
Oh,
So it's
yeah.
bad, it's
Yeah.
scary, you're gonna lose everything if you're earning a higher ROI. And you know what? Often that's true. Higher ROI can absolutely mean higher risk, but not always. It's an assumption that shouldn't be made as an absolute. So, but here's what I like about this number 25%. Rule of 75 says that here I'm gonna double my money every 3.5 years. And after selling costs, closing costs on a property and things like that, I just round up to be conservative to 5 years. 20 years, 5 years. Ask yourself how much time you have, and then you start saying, okay, we've got to find a way to mitigate risk, but we have to find a way to jump into a higher ROI. Because if we can't get a higher ROI, in our last 10 years, we've spent all these years getting to this point, but the last 10 years, we've got to get somewhere. So what are we going to do?
Right.
Here's some options. You've been waiting for this. Number one, I like to buy property. I like to buy property because most of my homes are between a 25 and a 32% annual ROI. These homes also produce cash flow. They produce growth and appreciation. They also produce tax benefits. These are my 3 favorite benefits of doing this. Is there risk in doing this?
Yes.
Yes. Is there risk in doing this? This one is known. It's called not enough. This one actually has a chance. That doesn't mean it's less risk, but I've done this now thousands of times. And in your situation, the average purchase price I buy on a home that you'll see in that document is $143,000. The reason why it's this price is because guess what happens every 15 years in real estate?
Goes up and down.
It goes up and down. So in 2008, a $1
crashed.
million home became
A $500,000
half a
home.
million, and a half became 3, and a 3 became 2. But a 140 becomes a
Kind of a stable,
140.
maybe, yeah.
So there's a reason why I play in a zone that is as recession-proof as you possibly can be, while continuing to earn these. The truth is, when we have a recession, does this number go up or down? It goes up. This is what I'm earning. But when we have a recession, this gets juicier. This is very counter-cyclical. When everyone's buying, we're selling.
Right.
When everyone's selling, we're buying.
Right.
We're always doing things opposite the market as professional investors. So, we definitely want to give you guys more tax benefits. We need something with growth, and here's a new definition for you of an investment. An investment is something that pays you. This does not. This does not. Rather than front-loading more money in your 401k so that you can get the match that you won't see for who knows how many years, take your extra money and make it work today, and you will likely do better with this than a match.
Okay.
It's a different mindset and it's a different thinking, and you should run some math on that. I think you'll find this can be, I think you can do way better with your own money today than getting a match for someday when you know that the match won't actually be it. So it looks like free money, but it's handcuffed.
Yeah.
So I'd rather have half the money today usable than handcuffed money that I can't do anything with. That's an idea.
Okay.
So, question is, how many of these can I buy? Well, these homes require anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000, depending on whether, out of 300 plus markets in the country, I buy in the top 5. That's how I get these ROIs, and you'll learn more in this document. So, I look at this 85,000 and I'm like, well, with that price range, we're going to work on taking that IRA and let's turn that into 3 homes. And if in 5 years I double my money, how would you feel about that?
Oh, that'd be great.
Can I guarantee that'll happen?
No.
But do I have a 16-year track record through not just a recession, through the Great Recession, the worst we've seen since the Great Depression, because every fourth turning, every fourth cycle is bad.
That's bad.
And that for us actually means that every fourth cycle is
It's
really
good.
The second option that I'm seeing that I want you to be aware of is that if you took $150,000 from your primary residence, that $150,000, let's just say that that's enough to buy 3 or 4 more homes. Now, the cash flow these homes get are going to have to go and pay your home equity line, or your cash out refinance, or another option that I'm about to give you. Why am I trying to do this? I'll show you in just a moment. This is an or for these two. Let's just say we went to the most extreme. You sold your house and downsized and found the perfect home that could allow kids to come back home, because millennials do that. You get me? And by the way, and let's just say you could find a perfect something that you really liked. In selling this house, by the way, we're in a time in the market when a home at this price range, which is about $150,000, $180,000 above the median, you're in a hot market. Like, you could probably sell this for a price now that after the next downturn, you'll have to wait 5, 8, 9 years before you can get to that same price. So there's an opportunity to pull that out. After costs, selling costs and everything, let's just say that there's $200,000 to pull out. That says that after costs, you're still $30,000. You guys are delusional, and your home is worth $30,000 less than you think. With this $200,000, you could go and purchase pretty easily 5+ homes. Now, you could put, I don't know what kind of home you would want to downsize into, if it's a $250,000 nice home or a $300,000 home or what that looks like, but I do know that you can put a 3% down payment. So the 3% down payment is going to be like 10 grand, depending on the price range that you buy in, and that's going to free up a majority of your money. You're going to pick up a new mortgage, and it's going to be mortgaged up to roughly its value unless you get a deal on it. But more importantly, you freed up as much of your money as possible to actually grow and do something for you. So I'm trying to give you the most extreme scenarios that you can play with. Now, let's just say that you didn't want to move and do that, but let's say that you did want to access the equity, buy these homes and use the cash flow to subsidize this home equity line so that you were getting ahead versus behind. I've got a total of 6 possible homes that you could get. And here's what it looks like. If 5 years from now, if we start with 6 now, 5 years from now, 6 could become what?
12,
Yes, because the goal is to double every 5 years.
right?
12 homes. 10 years from now, 12 could become what?
24.
12 could be 24 homes. Ironically, 24 homes is what I had, 25 homes. That's what I did in 4.5 years because I got really aggressive. I've got a 4th option that'll show you how you can be crazy aggressive. By the way, Lori, you've got a really outgoing personality. Both of you do. I can show you how to make money with that. The majority of money I make is not because of my assets. I'm only showing you how to make money with your assets.
Okay.
You can make way more money with what's in here and how you connect with people than actually even money that you have. Money takes time to earn and save and set aside. And
Right.
so I'm going to show you a conservative game plan. That's what this is. And I'm going to show you an aggressive game plan. All right, 24 homes. Let's say that you went mega cash flow heavy on these homes, and we're focusing on homes that paid $400 a month each. 24 times 400, what is that math? That'd be 4,000, 8,000, 10,000. $10,000 a month. Now our conversation was, if we can get to 7,000 a month, we can maintain our same lifestyle, but have the option of leaving our jobs.
Right.
When I had that and I left, I had all this extra time for hobbies, and guess what? I got better at making money, but not working all of that full-time stuff. So whether this number is high or whether this is low, the first thing that I want you to understand is that in 10 years, you have options. There's things that you can still do. All the years you've worked up to this point and all the good that you've done here, there's something that you can do now that can actually get you to that goal. Everyone always has the very first goal of, how do I replace my current financial lifestyle with my assets producing returns?
Right, right.
So I think that's the first thing to understand, is that you have options. But now you might find yourself saying, we really like this house thing so much, we want to go faster. How could we be more aggressive? Because I think, Brent, you married an aggressive woman. And I know that needs to be tamed, right? But Lori's just really like, let's go.
There is no taming.
So this 4th option I want to share with you is, before I share exactly what it is, I want to tell you just a short little story. After I had bought my first 3 homes, I wanted to buy more, but I was trapped. I had to wait for my homes to mature so I could buy more. And I just had all this anxiety of, I want to go faster. And so I built something that I didn't know that I had. I was starting to create the beginning of a track record. And my father-in-law took note of that. When I bought my very first house, he thought I was nuts. Because I was 23. And he bought his first house when he was 29. So just by comparison, it's like, this younger generation is always wanting everything more, sooner, faster, quicker, easier.
Yeah.
Truth. And my kids will want that too.
That's true.
And technology makes that possible. But when I bought my second home, I think it was irritated. When I bought my third, he was fully confused. But after I bought 3, one day out of the blue, he called me up and he said, you've got to tell me what you're doing. So he asked me a bunch of questions that were all about numbers. I could tell he was crunching numbers on the other side of the country over the phone. And he was looking at my ROI. My ROI was phenomenal, certainly beating his 401ks and IRAs. And he had the idea, I credit him for this, he changed my stars that day. Because he said, what's your next move? I said, well, I just found this amazing deal. Amazing deal. Better than all the others. But I can't do it, I don't have the money. So I'll wait a year or 2, I'll wait for my real estate to mature, and then I'll find a way to buy more. And he said, what if I give you the money and you do the work? And I was thrilled because I still got to do I had to walk away from part of the profits because now he was a partner. But you know what I realized? That bringing other people's resources together, and there's 3 major resources to bring together. One of those resources is you need someone who's an expert in investing. The other resource is someone, and this is the person that finds the deal, does the deal and everything, This is the person that has the money and has the credit. So in the scenario, this was me, and this was my father-in-law. And that first deal worked, so we did it again. And it worked, and we did it again. And then we did it 50 times. But along the way, I realized I don't have one father-in-law. I have several people that are kind of like my father-in-law. I've got people who have been working hard, have good credit, individuals that have been good savers, and now they're trying to find a way to get where they want to go. They've done this part, but they don't have this part. And so what I do is I partner with people, and I do all of this for them so they don't have to. Because developing these skills, what's more dangerous, your first 25 homes or your first 1,000 homes?
Your first 25.
First 25 are the most, you don't know what you're doing. You're just gonna, and trust me, I made mistakes. I know what it feels like to lose $1 million. But since then, I've gone on to do thousands of deals and systematize and then learn how to do it consistently the exact same way, the right way every single time. This is boring. You got a team of 200 experts, they put in 340 hours per deal. Like, we just know this. But for someone to get my learning curve, if someone wanted to try to compete with my learning curve, you know, I've done in 15 years what people couldn't do in lifetimes because I've done $1 billion worth of this now. Most people don't have that ambition, and that was just my calling in life, so I found a way. With this being said, this fourth option is what I call Maverick. Maverick is a program I designed and created that says, if you find people that would be ideal partners, and they get vetted by my team, and they actually partner with me, then I will take my 50% ownership in the portfolio we'll build, and I split it equally with you 50-50. That means once you start getting your experience, and other people start, I mean, think about it. You have peers and people your age that they're in a similar situation trying to figure out how do I get where I want to go. You'll now actually have a functional plan, and you could literally say, well, you should check this out. Check out this YouTube video. Check out the book Kris Krohn wrote. Check out this document. And if any of them say, I'm going to partner with Kris because they made it through the gauntlet, then I actually split my ownership with you as an equal partner. Now you're buying real estate with no money, and you're buying real estate with no credit. And there's no limit to what you can do. So this is what I'm going to call the outlier factor. Some people, a lot of people will do nothing with it, and some people will go freaking nuts and go create massive amounts of wealth. The people that this favors are the naturally outgoing, outspoken, people that don't mind speaking up or taking a risk. Those individuals can do like super, super well. But do you know the ones that do the best with this? Are the people that use their own money to say, I'm not trusting Kris Krohn's track record. I have my own track record, and you add that to Kris's track record, and guess what? You've got a lot of social proof. So, 4 different variations of options, and I think if I were in your shoes, that is really my perspective on what I would be focusing on, looking at, or doing if I were you. Questions?
I have one.
Sure.
Maybe as a different option. This is what I've been toying with. Is what if I didn't sell my house, but what if I rented it? Because I've actually looked into it. We could rent our house for about an $800 a month positive cash flow, and then downsize and do something what you did the very first thing you did. Buy a home with a little rental unit on it, so there's a rental coming in on that one. We've downsized to a smaller one, and we're also, what do you think about that?
No,
Renting ours.
this is
with
good.
positive
So
cash flow.
I'm always going to share with you my honest opinions. They tend to be very strong because they're based on strong experience. I never own a rental property with a value higher than $220,000.
Okay.
Do you know why?
Well, because if the market does something weird.
When the market turns and you pulled your equity out to go and build and do some stuff, and your payment is higher, and your $400,000 house becomes a $300,000 or $320,000 or $280,000 house, and people are saying, hey, it's a tight economy, let's live in smaller homes versus bigger homes, there's a really good chance that all of your cash flow is going to evaporate.
Okay, so what my thought was, let me back up so I understand. So our home right now is $145,000 that we owe.
Mm-hmm.
If we brought it to a $200,000 value, so we only took out about $60,000 or whatever, $55,000.
Then you would be sacrificing $200,000 of
Oh, I see
equity
what you're saying.
for this much cash flow.
Okay.
So by the way, Everything I'm sharing with you is based on ones and zeros. If we remove all of the emotion from the entire investing game, then literally it just becomes a scenario of which one earns more. So I've done that math 1,000 times. Taking the money and buying more properties will always be better. And literally, having $800 of cash flow in one house or $800 combined in 3 houses, do you know which one will be better for you?
Is it the 3 because of the tax benefits?
One doubles and 3 becomes 6.
Okay, oh.
And in time it becomes exponentially bigger, 4 versus 18 homes.
Okay.
So here's the upside and here's the downside of what I'm sharing with you. The upside is your goals with time can be met. The downside, which is very, very real, is that this isn't get rich quick, but it sure is a heck of a lot quicker and possible than the current model and system that you're on.
Right.
If you wanted to get rich quick, you would probably jump in that Maverick program, which is essentially what I did when I got started out. And I started partnering with people left and right. So those are your 4 options. Any final questions on them before we wrap this up? And turn off the camera and then really like get real. Brent's like, yay. Any other questions on any of this?
No, I think I understand it. 10 years is a longer time.
Yeah.
You know, for me, I know he doesn't mind work. I really don't. I like to be home.
Yeah.
I guess I can see it, but I also wonder where those down payment monies are all coming from. So in 5 years, we resell this, and then
You
you
sell
get
the
more
homes,
money,
and then guess what happens when you doubled your asset value? Guess what you can do?
and then you can buy more.
Buy 2 instead of 1.
Right. So we're not seeing any cash flow in the very first 5 years.
Of course you
We're
are.
just.
No, there's always cash
But
flow.
aren't we putting?
Right now you're seeing 0 cash flow.
Right.
You have 0 possibility that, in fact, instead of cash flow, you're putting extra money in your 401k out of your paycheck,
Right.
and your house is zapping you. You got to make a payment every month. Reality, you're negative right now.
Right.
This can only move you in the opposite direction, positive. So literally, every time you buy a house, you're always better off than you were before. That, and for every house you buy, we put between $5,000 and $10,000 away in savings, so you have a sleep well at night account. Because guess what will happen your first year of owning a property?
It's going to have breaks.
Things
Things are going to
will
have to
break.
break down or
It won't always be rented,
fix it.
and we know exactly what the actuaries are in that area, so that I predict that, and then I put 3 times the amount of actual money you need in savings, so you have what I call a sleep well at night account. So you've got a big fat checking account here on the side that is babysitting all your real estate, and if the worst possible scenario happened across the board, you wouldn't miss one night of sleep. Because we know the game. You know, it's amazing. I've got one brand new partner right now, and there's this sliding door that broke on a house, and he's like, there was a $300 repair, and he's freaking out, and I'm like, chill, you're brand new. Remember when we put $10,000 in your sleep well? He's like, yeah. I was like, that's why it's there. These ROIs take all of those expenses into account.
Okay.
So the deeper we go down the rabbit hole, the more you're going to see, wow, you guys have really kind of thought of everything on this. And it's not that we've thought of everything, it's that we've experienced everything from natural disasters in our areas to crime to everything to really figure out what are the most profitable ways to do this system.
Okay, so now I have a question.
Yeah.
Pretend that you are us, and you don't have our predisposed ideas.
Yeah.
What would you do?
That is an unfair question. I will not answer that for you. I know you would love for me to answer that, but the reality is you have sacred cows. Do you know what I mean by sacred cow? You have ideas here that are sacred to you. If I had no sacred cows, and financially I have no sacred cows, there's only one sacred cow. There's only one area of my life where I care to have any ownership. It's not vehicles, it's not extra houses. I don't care about ownership. I care about access and control. I would rather control 1,000 properties than own 1,000 properties. My goal is to never have a property paid off. Very different than most people. Also, this is all positive debt. You're going millions of dollars into debt, and it makes you money. This is so backwards from consumer thinking. So for me, and I knew that I wanted to downsize, I'd buy the perfect home for me and my family. I would sell this home. I'd liquidate everything. I'd switch jobs, take all the money, and I would start investing, and I would learn how to become a professional investor.
That's fair.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Haven't they been great? You guys have been awesome. Give them a round of applause. You guys are great. Listen, if you guys want to learn more about partnering, it's in the link below. And I've also got a video teed up to show you anyone that wants to partner with me. I've laid out a partnership series so that you understand A to Z everything that it looks like to partner with me. So go check that out. And of course, if you hit the link below, what you're going to do is you're gonna get a free copy of this and a free game plan from a member of my team that literally will do this for you to help you understand how to get from where you're at to where you wanna be. Take care, we'll see you on tomorrow's video.